Greetings, mortals, and welcome. Please present your tickets for validation. Thank you. Your existence has been acknowledged, and you have been granted access every Thursday and Friday. You will be accompanying your guides, Krista and Brandy, along with a world-renowned guest. They will be exploring an intriguing tendril of what humans refer to as reality each week, as they strive to advance you further down the path to the truths of your physical earth and what lies on the other side. Remember to please keep your hands and feet in the vehicle at all times, and do not exit until the craft has come to a complete stop.
I can't.
I can't even do that with a straight face. Happy Thursday, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, Krista is off this evening due to family issues. Please pray for her family. And as we're giggling, we're not giggling about Krista.
Not at all.
Paul is filling in for Krista this evening. This is the best he could do on such short notice.
Can't see.
He does have some hair and some glasses on. That's all we can say. We think he's looking a little bit more like Kurt Cobain.
Yeah. I was saying backstage that whenever you guys call me to fill in, I should put on a blonde wig so we can still be blondes and booze. But this is all I had right now. So
well, it's getting near Halloween time. You should be able to get a blonde one real cheap at Walmart.
Oh yeah. And Tex, before you say anything, I could tell the look of disappointment on your face.
I had every intention. I wasn't going to pop on tonight. I really wasn't. I was just going to pop in real quick. I see y'all hadn't started the show yet. And I was going to say, I was just going to pop in and say hi backstage and just leave.
Uh-huh.
Then I saw this. And I'm like, this needs an intervention. Because
well, you might as well hang out now. We got a great guest tonight.
Yeah.
Well, I saw a beautiful woman sitting backstage, and I'm like, well, good grief, I maybe just stick around, because
you need to. You
know me, I'll never turn down a chance to talk to a gorgeous woman. So,
what about a grunge rocker?
She's in Studio B right now, just awaiting.
I can do without the grunge rocker.
That's more like for waking up weird,
Yeah. Oh. I do have a few other wigs that I could wear.
Thanks, Brandy.
You're welcome. You're so welcome.
Uh-huh.
And for the waking up weird close to Halloween, I have well, never mind.
Don't give it away. Don't give it away. We're going to get together and have one night that week. We're going to have a Halloween special. We're all going to dress up and come on. That's what we're going to do.
Right.
I'm going as a Texan.
Texas. All right. Let's clear this up. On a serious note, Krista is having some issues with her family right now. So please keep her and her family in your prayers. Hopefully she will be back tomorrow. No, she won't be back tomorrow. I'm sorry. She's got family stuff. She's got football tomorrow night. So she's got that. My goodness. We're all just so busy with these kids nowadays. They just won't.
It is that time of the year.
Yeah.
Right. But tonight we have a really super great guest. It is Dana Stricker. She's a good friend of mine, and everybody knows her for being a psychic medium, but she has a whole nother side to her that people just don't get to see. And I think it's going to be really interesting, digging into that and figuring out how do you cope with being able to do it all? You know what I mean?
But does she have a cool wig like this?
She does. Have you seen her hair? She don't need no cool wig. She's got cool hair.
I guess I need a wig.
So
Well, I
text
gotta have a little chat with this girl. So get her up here.
All right.
All right, let's bring Dana up.
Uh-oh.
Hi, Dana.
Hello.
Dana,
Yes.
We had
I
to
had
bring
high
the
hopes
text
for-
in.
I had high hopes for you till Brandy said you was a good friend of hers, and then I'm like, well, there goes, you know.
Yeah, I gotta
She's got
stick
that-
with Brandy, man. We've
You
been
got to be
friends
more
some
careful
time.
who people you hang out with. I'm just saying.
I've
Yeah,
been told that a lot, actually.
Well,
I
the
can't
thing
believe
is,
he gave up the wig so fast.
he did. It was probably itchy.
It was. It was.
And yes, I do actually have wigs, by the
Oh,
way.
you do. Okay.
There
I
you
don't
I
go.
do
care.
too. I do too. I'm not going to say I don't, but
Right.
you know, you got cool hair. You don't need a wig.
Yeah, you do.
Well, when I'm committing crimes, I might need to wear one. I'm kidding. I do. You know, don't want
Make sure they're human DNA, so you can leave somebody else's DNA as crime scene.
And I have a very specific list of people I need hair from in that case, but I won't talk about that tonight.
Well, Dana, maybe you could help me figure out who's been talking to me in the shower.
Uh-oh.
Oh, well, there you go. There's one right off the top.
There
She wasn't
goes
ready
the
for this
neighborhood
one.
right there. Is the water running at the time? Are you
Uh-huh.
underneath the water when you're hearing it?
Yeah, I had soaped my beard. Actually, let me give you a little backstory. So, real quick, what happened was we were doing a live show,
Uh-huh.
and
In your
we
shower?
caught an EVP
Oh.
while we were live over my mic. And it was a female voice going, mm-hmm. And a few days later, I was in the shower, and it was just me in the house, just me and the dog. And my dog hasn't mastered the English language yet. So, no, it wasn't him. So, I'm in the shower, and I've got my beard all sudded up and everything, and I'm like this, and I'm under the shower. The shower's running and everything, and I hear, "How you doing?" The same female voice.
Female voice again.
Uh-huh.
But were you anywhere investigating prior to this?
I hadn't been out in the field since May. So, but we are doing some remodeling in the house.
Okay.
So,
I did pick up it was a female before you said that. I mean, nobody needs to believe that I picked that up, but I did pick that part up. How much are you remodeling? Are you ripping out a lot of stuff or
redoing the kitchen, floors, cabinets, appliances?
maybe you should do a little EVP session in the kitchen. Try to find out her name.
Well, what's weird is,
Like how I said name. Name.
Dang.
this is
How you doing?
well, and I don't want it to be Joey. I mean, how you doing?
That's interesting, though. A lot of people, I've talked to people that I've worked with in the past that have been in the shower and with the water running. I think it's almost like a white noise effect, like we use sometimes when doing like EVP sessions, that they're actually hearing voice over or under that water without a recording device. So it's almost like the same kind of principle, maybe. That's interesting to me.
Well, see, that's what struck me because I heard it over the shower.
Okay, yeah. There's a couple people I've worked with that not like investigators, like people with things happening at their homes that have that similar situation. They need to stay the heck out of the bathroom. I'm sorry.
Well, I would be more concerned if it was a guy. I mean, I am a heterosexual male, so
I'm picking that up. Yeah.
Yeah. But so I do question her taste, wanting to see me naked in the shower. But
maybe she needs bigger cabinets in their kitchen.
It's possible. It's possible.
It's possible.
You took out that she didn't want to take. Who knows? That's what I would do. I would do an EVP session in there and see if she says her name.
Well, see, I'm trying to figure out because we've. It's my mother-in-law's house, and they're the original owners.
Oh.
And she's still alive.
Oh,
Yeah.
and who knows?
So I don't know.
Remodeling always stirs stuff up.
It could be. It could be something that one of the workers brought in. You just have no idea.
Yeah.
Well, Dana, we got to give you kind of a more of a backstory on what's happening. Many times during our YouTube shows that we've had voices come on from the middle of nowhere. I was on with Tex one time, and a man's voice broke in right in the middle of it and said something, and we're like, "Who's that?"
Sounds like you're an EVP magnet, Tex.
And then we've got EVPs we've got one that sounds like a little girl. We've got the female one. We've got the male. We've got all kinds of different ones that are coming in through this podcast. And it kind of, you're like, wait a minute.
Who is that?
Did you hear something before? Am I the only one? There was a little bit of a break when you were talking that sounded like an interference. You'll have to go back.
It probably was.
That would not surprise me in the least. I think the coolest one we've got
with me for a minute, to be honest.
the coolest one we've got so far was when Krista was signing off.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she was like, "Okay, bye bye," and then you hear a little bitty kid's voice right behind it go, "Bye bye."
Yeah.
I mean, clear as a bell.
It didn't come from her mic. I was on. Actually Heather Mosier was on with us. And so it's between me and Heather, where it came from. I'm not sure. And then we have the mystery cat. Don't forget that one, the mystery cat.
Yeah.
Well, we won't have that tonight because I have a cat laying right in front of my keyboard. He might actually introduce himself, in the reverse.
We're used to that. Krista got a new cat. Krista got a new cat, and this one is just. It's such a lovey cat that it's always meowing and walking in and out. And
it loves being on camera for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, we're used to seeing this walk across the screen.
Little tail.
His tail will go across. It's almost like Loch Ness is coming across.
Yeah, exactly.
Do a little turn, and then you get the magic wink.
Sure, we have dogs, cats, whatever.
So I have a question, and this is going to be evidently a stupid question on my part. Where'd it go? Yeah, Amy Creel says it's the spirit of Joanna Gaines. I don't know who's
dead.
I don't think she's dead, though.
No.
Well, who is Joanna Gaines?
So they have the show Fixer Upper with her and her husband Chip, I think it is.
It is
from Waco,
Wow,
Texas. You're
like Mr. Metrosexual up there knowing all those things. I'm impressed.
How you doing? It's on in the dentist waiting room a lot, and
Gotcha, okay.
he's funny actually. Anyway,
is that the Magnolia people?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
She's
I used to watch that.
So unless she's able to project herself into your shower, which she doesn't strike me as the kind, but you never know with people.
Well, she's cute, so I don't have a problem with that.
Just saying.
Yes. I need to go see Tex. Here, finish painting this wall. I'll be back.
Yeah, right.
That's the wrong color, Tex. Here, use this color.
Yes. That's really interesting, though. But it sounds like you get EVP. There's some people too, and you guys probably have run into people too. If you go out with specific people for some reason, you get more EVP than if they're not with you.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are psychic mediums or do a lot of investigating, and some of them are never done anything before, but every time you take them with you, you get these class A EVPs. I have a very good friend like that.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since he had a transplant, he had a pancreatic transplant. Ever since that transplant, he was nailed. I'd be like, are you joking me? Like, how clear could this be?
Wow.
And, why is that?
Yeah. Well, see, I found that a lot of people who have had health issues or developed health issues or whatever, they have, it seems like a deep connection, something that a lot of other people are not getting.
Well, you're 1 foot closer to where we go in a
Well,
lot of ways, especially if you've had like a near-death experience, or if you're like, for me, you know, I have chronic renal disease. I was
Right.
almost out of here 7 years ago.
Mhm.
I was doing this before that, long time before that, but I feel like I hear them differently now than I did when I was 15, for instance.
Wow.
So
Is
and
it like a stronger connection? Like you hear them louder, or
it's like when I'm falling, like if I go to bed, I'm not asleep, I'm not falling asleep yet. I'm like trying to fall asleep, which is very
Mhm.
hard for me as a medium because I'm getting yapped at. And I'd always hear them, but now it seems different. The voice, it is crisper. Maybe that's just because I've, you know, maybe it's not from that thing that happened to me. Maybe it's just the progression because I'm old as dirt now. And, you know, after all these years of doing this, maybe that's just how it's morphed into that, because it does change. It never stays the same. You know, it ebbs and flows with certain areas for me.
So
And
I-
so
it
Hey,
sounds
Dan,
like you.
I'm with you on the age thing. I fart dust, so you know.
I just, you know, I have some deals out there with some young gods and stuff saying, hey, please preserve me for another 10 years before you take it.
Well, it
You know,
sounds like you went from AM radio to FM radio.
There you go.
That's
Yeah.
I had
And
something
that could
happen.
be a part of like the things that are happening with a lot of psychic mediums right now too. There's almost like and they use big words that I never use because you guys know me, or you do, Brandy.
Mhm.
I don't get into the whole flowery language business with this stuff, but they call it like an ascension. So we're kind of stepping up a little bit higher, and maybe that's why it's coming through a little clearer too.
Mhm.
But that's all like the age of Aquarius stuff, and you know, let me get out my drum and we can sing Kumbaya by the fire. But
There you go. That's it.
Now I got that song stuck in my head. Thank you.
you're welcome.
I love that stuff. Always
I do.
have.
There you go. See, I'm a people
Not a
pleaser.
bad thing. Not a bad thing.
No.
So
But
it's,
no,
it's funny you mentioned the voice as you were trying to fall asleep. I was a long time ago, 30 years ago or whatever. I was up in Rockford, Illinois, watching a preseason football game, and I was falling asleep. I think I was working overnights at the time. And clear as day, I heard my grandmother's voice say, "Paul, go to bed." It was weird.
And did you go to bed? Did you go
I
to
always
sleep?
listen to what my grandma says. So yeah.
We have a visitor coming into the screen. Pre-warning. Warning. Warning. Large-
I see a shadow of a tail.
You do. See, it's Nessie. He's going
There
to
he
start
is.
walking across there. Are you going to stop? Come on.
There he is.
Him's a big boy. He's about 20 pounds.
Oh
You know?
wow.
Oh my goodness.
He's big though. He's not like this way. He's just
Oh,
a
it's a big boned cat.
big boned. That's it.
Boned
Hey,
cat.
That's
was
what I
trying to be
am.
nice
Big
and not
bone.
hurt his feelings. Because my daughter gets mad because I look at a cat and I'm like, that cat got chubby. She goes, Mom, she's not chubby.
I always say my cat is this way. He's large because he does not eat the wet food. Like most cats go crazy over that. Mine likes carbs. He eats
Yeah.
cheese and that's it. Here we go. We're getting this out of the way early tonight.
There you go.
See?
I can't imagine if Chris was on tonight. They'd probably be talking to each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
Yeah, he tends to take over for a while. And here we go, the introduction. Get ready, folks.
Close your eyes. You may see something you don't want to. Just
We'll put one of those little X's over it.
little band-aid.
Right. All right, he's calmed down now. I think he's got it out of the way.
All right,
Very good.
good. All right.
For now, at least.
I'm biting my tongue so hard right now.
I'm sure you are.
Yeah, you have to sometimes. Anyway, so what we're here to talk about
Yes.
is now that we're like 20 minutes into the show,
Yeah, no.
off the rails. Anyway, but Dana is known for being a psychic medium, and she's wonderful, and she's got just so much behind her, but there are things that we just didn't know about her, and it's just now coming out. Well, I knew it about her, but it's just now coming out to the world. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, we're talking about aliens.
Yeah.
You would
Well,
never
congratulations. Let me be the first to say, Dana, congratulations on coming out.
Thank you.
Yeah, she's coming out. She's coming out of that.
I just never really talked about it. I think because, growing up where I did, and, my town is very small, and it was hard enough being a psychic medium there for a while. To throw UFOs, aliens, and things that I've seen on top of that. I'm very private about what I do publicly, with this sort of thing. I'm still kind of not throwing myself out in front of crowds and stuff like that necessarily. I've really only done speaking stuff for maybe the last 5 years or so. I did smaller events, but nothing, I'm traveling with it more, I guess, now, because my son's out of high school and I don't care anymore what people say. Surprise! But because we live in my town's got 1,700 people in it, so it's not like we, everybody knows your business, everybody knows who you are, and this, that, the other thing. So, talking about UFOs, but there's very definite things that happen, and it's not just me. It started with my dad, and that's I think it does. I'm working with people now that do strictly UFO stuff. As you know, I do Voices of Contact. I'm going to be at the UFO Con in Michigan in about a week and a half on a panel there, because I do have things that have happened. I'm just not like, I just got hit in the face with a tail.
Bam!
Yeah. It's just kind of like, I just say what's happened to me. It's just, and I think there's things like this that have happened to lots of people, but they're not looking at it as, they try to blow it off, because anything uncomfortable, I think we try to like ignore or try to explain away. And some of those things you just can't do, but you're afraid to tell other people. And it's really important, especially right now, for people to tell their stories, because this is basically, like we say on the show all the time, this is the time of disclosure. The church has recognized it. The state has recognized it. We're just waiting for something to come down and be like, yo, we're here. But maybe they already have. We don't know. We don't know. But yeah,
you're right.
Happened growing up and stuff like that. And even into adulthood, recent things that I'm like, yeah, because I'm not real keen on them. I'm not going to say I love alien interaction or I love it when this happens, because it is alien to me as a human being. If I don't know how, I don't know how to deal with it, because I don't know what it is exactly or who they are. So, yeah.
So what was your first experience that you said, okay, that's alien. That's alien right there.
When I was, oh my God, there's so many of them. There's so many little things. My dad's stuff I figured out after the fact. So my dad's stuff would have been my earliest had I known what was going on. But I think the first thing I remember is when I was in probably like 3rd or 4th grade, maybe 5th. I can't remember exactly. I was young. My mom worked at an egg farm, believe it or not. Egg farm. Sounds funny. Up between my town that I am in and the nearest town away, which is 9 miles. And it was a chicken farm, but they did egg stuff there. I know it sounds ridiculous. But anyway, she worked, I think it was 2nd or 3rd shift. So she was getting off of work quite late. I think it was 2nd shift. And she was driving home from work. And I remember the next morning, she was like acting weird. And she was talking to my dad. And we had a brand new pickup truck. Like it was literally like a week we had it. And she had seen something up in the sky and acknowledged that she was seeing this light in the sky. And then the entire truck just shut down. And she coasted off onto the side of the road. And of course, I'm like, because I'm a kid that's watching Unsolved Mysteries. I'm watching, I don't even think Unsolved Mysteries was out yet. This would have been like In Search of, remember that show with the, I always do the Loch Ness, like my cat. I lived for that show, so I knew a little something about UFOs, but not, obviously not like I know now, or that any of us know now. It was just like little stories about it, and I was like, "Holy crap, Mom! What was it?" And of course, even back then, I'm like, "Did you have missing time?" There's this little kid going, "Can you tell me?" Because I think what I had seen on that show was the first people that reported, I can't think of their names right now, which is terrible. It's because I'm talking on air. That's why. Betty and
Barney Hill.
Barney.
Yeah, we just talked about them last night. Yes.
Okay. So I think that was what I saw on that show. I'm pretty sure that was their story that I had seen. And they had missing time, and they had I think there wasn't there burn marks on the car, or somebody had, there's something. I can't remember what it was. Anyway. And of course she's like, well, no. And I don't think she remembers to this day if she had missing time, but there's absolutely no reason why a brand new vehicle is going to shut down like that. And she waited a few minutes, light went away, turned the thing, started, she came home. But she was shaken by that, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
So that was been the first thing that happened, not personally to me. I don't know. My mom has been telling me little things off and on this last year about stuff that I said around that age. I was still dealing with ghosts at this point and my psychic stuff at this point. So to throw aliens on top of that, I would have probably be in an institution yet if I was starting to figure all that out at that age. But I remember being in my late teens, early 20s, rented my first apartment, and I would come out of my apartment and there would be something telling me, you got to look up and you got to look far up. And I remember this so clearly. And I, for years, just reburied it again. And so I'd stop and it'd be broad daylight. And I'd look up, and way, 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 way up, there were these silver discs.
Whoa.
So in my head, my rational brain is saying, those are weather balloons. There's weather balloons. But it still didn't feel right. I think that was me trying to get myself out of my head with it. That happened like 3 or 4 times. And then for years after, I dreamt about them. I still have that dream where I'm walking out of that same apartment and looking up, and they're way up there. And it's just weird to me that I still have that in here after all these years. And it actually did happen. So I did not dream this. It happened. And then I started to dream about them. Since then, there's been lots of other things that have gone on, especially probably the last 5 to 10 years, that are a lot more profound and a lot scarier to me. I can deal with a ghost any day of the week, but when you start throwing stuff in that doesn't make sense to my human being me,
right,
I'm very suspicious of this.
And did something like major change in your life or anything? Because I'm always interested to find out if there is a connection to where, like, is something traumatic or just a big change in your life and all of a sudden more things start happening, or everything intensifies?
I would say, okay, so not so sure about like that early, like the 20s area, when I'm in my 20s and stuff like that. I was a person that did have very oppressive, what doctors termed as night terrors. Went on for years, well into my 30s and early 40s. It stopped now, interestingly enough. But I know what I know, and people can fight me on it. I know it wasn't a night terror. I know there's a very specific feeling, and I know what I know. And that almost seems to me like it was very intrusive. It wasn't like a ghost would feel. It wasn't like, quote unquote, an evil spirit or something.
Right.
That's not, the vibe is completely different. And then it finally went away, if you will, after I moved back here. And then I got sick. After I got sick, that's when I really had some big stuff happen, was after that. And, I've got them written down. If I start telling you those, you'll be on here till midnight. But my son and his friend were witness to one at our track up here at our high school. There was a guy that came out of nowhere wearing what looked like what you get when you run a marathon, that kind of a race, had like the plaque on the back with a number on it and stuff. And he was wearing like this maroon short set, like he was matchy. I live in the middle of nowhere. This was 10 o'clock at night. I was walking the track at the high school. I had lost my earbud earlier in the day, and the kids came up to help me find it. He came up behind us so fast. The girl that was with us screamed. He went by us so fast. It looked like something from, do you remember the old Bionic Man when he'd run?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Very similar, that. And my brain's going, oh no, oh hell no. What is happening here? Yeah. That's not normal. Prior to that happening, my car alarm went off. We're all alone up here. There's nothing here. It's a very small area. All of a sudden the car, the lights and the whole thing sporadically is going, and I'm like, what is going, nobody's up there. Why is that going off? Boom, it shuts off, and bam, he was right behind us.
Wow.
Came
Did you
around,
by chance get a, oh, go ahead.
He came around, so by the time we got like maybe 10 feet, 15 feet, he was already on the opposite side of the track coming around for a second thing. And I'm like, we're leaving, because I got this really weird feeling about him.
Mm-hmm.
So we were getting up by the gate to get out of there, and he was already back again. So there's no way he should have been able to go that fast around that track. And the second round was slower than the first one. And I know I sound like a nut job, everybody, but this happened, and I have witnesses besides me.
Right.
So I went to the gate, and he was like standing there, and he's stretching, and he's like, doing runner things. And I'm like, I know this town. I grew up here. I'd have never seen this person in my life. Okay. And Rowan's like, my son is like, are you going to say something? Are you going to say something to him? He's like, say something. I'm like, what am I going to say to him? So I said,
you say something to him.
I looked, I did, because that's who I am. I'm going to ask him. I want to see what this guy's doing, but I'm far enough away now that I can try to get out of there. And I was like, wow. I said, for a minute there, I said, don't ask me to race you. So I was addressing right away how fast he was going around there. And he goes, oh, come on, give it a chance. And he sounded like he was from like California. He had that kind of that accent that definitely isn't Wisconsin. Like
right.
Like
he's
totally
from somewhere else, right? And I'm like, oh, I'll race ya. I know what I sound like, but anyway, he said some other things, and I said I need to get a car to keep up with you. And then he's like sitting on he sat down on the tarmac or the track part. And then he started talking, and he sounded like he had a different voice. And this sounds absolutely insane, but I'm telling you the truth. He was like, talked like he was like a college boy all of a sudden from Wisconsin. So then it was like, my son would remember verbatim pretty much. He's got one of those brains. I can't remember what he was saying, but I'm like, is it me or did his voice? And I'm not telling this to the kids because I didn't want to freak them out, but I'm like, what is this guy? He wouldn't show us his face. So every time we're talking, he's looking down and he's looking over here.
That's what I was.
And he's like doing these weird like head things, and I couldn't see his face. The voice changed probably 3 times, and then we left. I'm like, we're getting out of here. I would say about 20 minutes after we got home, my son comes back in my room and he goes, I'm going to get Sarah, the girl that was with us.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, why? And he goes, because her dad just saw some guy standing outside looking in their windows.
Ooh.
And we're going to go up and see if this guy's still at the track.
Hmm.
And he wasn't. And then I got my back up and I called my friend Andrea Perrin and was
There
like,
you
what's
go.
going on? So she, we never really could figure out, obviously, but that wasn't the last time he was there, because I used to walk, and this was like right when COVID started. So the first year of COVID was when all this was going down. And I went up to the track at like 5 o'clock in the morning, usually, or even earlier sometimes, because I wanted to get there before the kids got in. Because then it's like, oh, there's Mrs. Stricker out there. Dude. And he was there again. And he
Same outfit or anything?
He was sitting in the middle of the track, stretching in the same outfit that he had on. But he'd turn every time I turned where I could like see his face, he would then stretch the other side. So he was completely avoiding looking me in the face. And it was just really weird. And then I think there was a third time that I saw him leaving the track as I was coming in. And I haven't seen him since, but I haven't been to the track either since then.
How tall was he?
He was a little bit taller than me. He was real lanky, like a runner.
Mm-hmm.
Would be. I even asked around to people. I'm like, do you guys know anybody that would be? And they're like, what are you talking about? Of course, they think I'm nutty anyway, but that was not a normal experience. And again, like, you believe me, you don't have to believe me. I can tell you, I had two really freaked out because of how fast he was going. That was something we couldn't like poo-poo away. I have never seen a human being run that fast, to include at the Olympics. I don't know who this person was. It was really weird. So that's happened to me. And that was right here. I've been woken up here and on a cruise ship at one point with that really bright white light in the room coming from outside.
On a cruise ship?
Like I was on a cruise ship. My son and I had a very close viewing encounter with a ship that was at least twice the size of the cruise ship in Bermuda, on our way to Bermuda.
Holy cow.
And that was with a Strange Escapes cruise. And
well, that would make sense.
The weird thing is, though, is that nobody talks about this stuff. So, like, this stuff will happen. Like, for me, I had things happen with my Solstice Sisters group at a place. It took us over a year before we could sit down and get it on paper. It was like we kept getting deferred. So we had to have somebody sit there and keep us on task to get that all down because we couldn't do it. We just could not do it.
Wow.
Dana, I want to go back to this. What'd you say? Strange Encounters cruise?
Strange Escapes. It's a travel company that a couple of people from Amy Bruni and Adam from Ghost Hunters.
Kindred Spirits.
Kindred Spirits. We're on. Yeah.
Yep.
And they have this fantastic, and they had really fantastic trips. So I would go on this cruise that they did every year. I think I went on 4 or 5 of those. But
my wife would shoot if I drug her on something like that.
We were like, we had done something trying to get things up from the bottom of the ocean, for instance, because we were in the Bermuda Triangle.
Oh,
Rowan and I were standing on one of the top decks. And I remember thinking, and this, I sound so really stupid, but this is where my brain went. I was like, it's the International Space Station. Because my brain could not understand what I was looking at. It still doesn't understand it. And I remember we both were like, and we just watched it. And it was quiet, didn't make a noise. And it went right over the top of the ship. And it was humongous. He remembers different things about it than I do. I trust him more than me. Because he's a kid, and I think he remembers a saucer shape with like hexagon lights all around it. I remember the lights, the hexagon shapes. I don't remember this because it was immense, and I was just like, "Is this really happening? Is somebody playing a trick on me? Why is this happening in the middle of the ocean? What are we going to do?"
What was in my drink?
Weird. It was
What was in my drink? Yeah, exactly.
yeah. Who's operating that ship? And of course, my adult brain was like, "That's the International Space Station." So I kind of had part of it right from space, and that's how I oriented it.
Well, because we all know that our brain is trying to wrap our head around something that we've never seen before, and we have no knowledge of it, period.
Right.
So we're just trying to figure out
minuscule spheres years ago, but I'd not seen that. That was something. And people are always like, "How come no one ever has pictures of this?" Well, that's why. You're in the middle of an ocean. You're not on a cruise ship. No, nonetheless, you're not expecting a UFO to go over the top of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't.
No, I mean, because honestly, from everybody that I see go on a cruise ship,
somebody else had to have seen it.
Right. The first time if you get on a cruise, it's like the first couple hours you spend taking pictures around the ship and of the ocean, and then after that you're just kind of done with that. And now you're off to activities and whatever you're doing.
Right. And I think we were doing something. And this is years ago now. I don't remember exactly what we were doing, but I remember part of the thing for Bermuda as did a thing to try to get something to come up from the ocean floor because of everything that's disappeared there. That's why we did it. It was just an experiment,
Mm-hmm. It would be a good one, though.
It was something to behold. I still don't think I remember it the right way because I think it shut me up, and it takes a lot to shut me up. That shut me up. I was just like, holy, you know what?
Right. Yeah. When Dana goes speechless, everyone. Oh,
that was a speechless. Like I wasn't even speechless with the fast guy at the track. That UFO that I saw, that shut me up. So.
And it would be kind of awkward to start asking people on the ship if they hadn't seen it.
That's just it.
Hey, by the way, did you see
that? Remember, I was saying about the one place that my group had the experience, like actual ETs looking in the window.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty nuts as well. That took us a year and a half to even get it down on paper. Maybe that's part of that, like part of why I don't remember the ship looking the same way my son remembers looking at it. Because I think there is some sort of a mind thing that happens, maybe. That, it's maybe we're not supposed to remember it. Or maybe we're not supposed to remember it all the same. Like it's a cloaking thing or something. Again, I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be a UFO expert because I'm not. But I can tell you, working with the Voices of Contact people, talking to the people that do it and that have been abducted, that's a fascinating route too. If you listen to some of those regressions, that's a real thing that's happening to people because they're all basically
that's
things.
That's something I can't do. I can't.
There's a lot of people.
I don't want nobody rooting around in my head when I don't know about it.
That's why when I'm on doing that podcast and talking to people about it is like, this is my biggest gripe about possible alien abduction. And I'm going to say it because I don't know if it's happened to me or not. I've not been regressed. I don't know.
Right.
But I can say, I hear these regressions a lot and they're always saying, I felt calm and this thing was nice and it made me feel very calm. And, they told me this and that. Okay. But are they making you feel calm through some kind of mind control so they can nab you easier to do things on you?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're very advanced compared to us from the sounds of things and from how they travel. I'm not trying to scare people. I think that they could destroy us today and they haven't. So,
right.
But they're not human either. So I'm putting a human emotion into something that's not human.
Not human. Yes.
And so I don't trust that. That's Dana, the human, going, yeah, you've been coming here for X amount of years that we know, and you've taken people. Why won't you just be direct about it? Why do you have to like tell me that I need to get the straight dope. I'm one of those people. I want straight out. I don't want this dilly-dally around subject. If you're going to take me, you don't need to like make me feel good about it, because I can't fight you off anyway.
Right.
It's just like, you've been studying us for a very long time. You should know that human beings are not very trusting. I mean, we're horrible with each other. Imagine us with an alien race.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Seriously.
Well, the first thing we want to do is, if we find something new, the first thing we want to do is capture or kill it.
There's that too. But what's to say that they don't want to do the same thing to us? But there's like there's different races of them. I mean, we're pretty arrogant to think we're the only living thing in the universe. Sorry,
No, definitely not.
Well, it's like, and I've said this before, and there's two things that one of them is the line from The Arrival, which I love. She's asking, they're sitting out there watching, I think it's The Arrival, sitting out there through the telescope, and she's like, asking her dad if we're alone in the universe. She goes, well, if we're not, it's a lot of wasted space.
Yeah. And we could be like this little tiny speck.
Yeah.
And we've got something they don't have, which is why I think they're taking us.
Right.
And it's probably, there's a lot of people that think it's better for the greater good, and maybe it is, but I still want to know what you're doing.
Well, I just my opinion, okay? Just my opinion. And I got this opinion by knowing Jason McLean. Okay. So with aliens, and we don't even know that that's what they are. Honestly, we don't. But if they're, and God said He created us in His image, right?
Mm-hmm.
But He never says that He didn't create other things that's not in His image. Okay, exactly. Now there's an argument. Well, is it our physical image, or is it in His image a way of saying He created us with a soul? So when we start talking about what are these aliens looking for, something that they don't have, maybe they don't have souls.
Or because some of this, I'm going off the regressions I've heard.
Right.
I've listened to that's part of the show that I do. I think it depends on which type it is.
It's very possible.
There's different people on this panel that have been abducted and have memory of it, that basically they're all saying the same thing: is we're in trouble. We're in trouble on this planet. We know that anyway.
Right.
We do. Come on.
Well, the thing about the whole climate change and everything like that, okay, you either see one side of the argument or the other. People, exactly. I don't know why, but people refuse to be in the middle of anything. They either have to go this extreme or this extreme. Okay, what we're seeing is, in my opinion, again, okay, what we're seeing with all the weather changes, all the ice melting, and all this kind of stuff, different weather patterns and all this kind of stuff, it's a natural thing. The Earth goes through the Earth goes through cycles. We know that. That's why we had ice ages. That's why we had this. We had that. But we ain't helping it. Okay.
No, and we've got things like pollution that's not a natural.
Yeah, we're pushing things out of It's like the Earth is used to going down a certain path and going through certain cycles, and we're throwing stuff in the spokes as it goes along its paths, So
maybe they are trying to help because they need us in some other way, whether or not it's they don't have a soul, or maybe they don't have a soul in the way we define soul. And that's where I fall into trouble, is that I'm putting human into these alien people. See, I did it again. it's so hard for me to like. My only thing, and they chuckle at me, but I'm gonna stand by it. Don't be sneaking in my room middle of the night, blinding me with white light, taking me up in a ship, and sticking things in me. Okay.
Right.
I've already got. Evidently,
If you need to do something, come on. You know how we roll down here by now.
Right.
There's got to be a different thing. Now, if it's being, I think our government is well aware of things that we don't get to know about. And I'm not ripping on either side. I don't talk politics ever. And I'm not, because it doesn't matter who's in that office. They know there's stuff happening. They're finally only admitting it. And I said this was a prediction I did probably 12 years ago. I don't remember what I was doing. It was in a group of my friends, I think. They're like, make a prediction about aliens or make a prediction about something. And I'm like, I don't know much about aliens. Well, I've learned since. And I said, here's how it's going to happen if it really is a thing. The first people that are going to crack here is going to be the church, because they have to. Okay. They have to say, if they know something's coming, they have to bring that to light before it goes down. That is shattering a whole lot of years worth of religion and people's belief systems, and will cause problems. The church actually, over the Vatican, had UFOs. They, of course, said, nope, that didn't happen. That was something that somebody faked a picture. Yeah, they reversed that and said, okay, guys, you caught us. Guess what? That really did happen. Those pictures are real. And yes, we believe there's life elsewhere. They didn't go much further with it than that, but for the Vatican, that's huge. And I looked and I said, that'll be the first thing that happens. That happened. The second thing that happens is our government finally comes up off it.
Right.
And that happened probably 5 years after the church finally said something. So we're in it. It's like I think somebody said on our show the other night, it's like a soft opening.
Slow disclosure.
Used to the idea of this going on before something actually comes down and says, hello.
It's the whole frog in the boiling pot of water.
I don't know what that means. It must be a Texanism, but
okay.
It is. Hang on. Let's get comfy.
You take a frog and you throw him in a boiling pot of water. He jumps out. You put a frog in a cold pot of water and slowly heat it up to boiling. He's going to sit there and boil.
The second person in 3 weeks that's told me this story in a different aspect.
You go.
I'm better listen to you, I guess.
Yeah, don't sit in the pot.
It gets you used to it gradually so you don't notice that you're cooking.
Right.
Until you're already done.
Yeah. But by the time you realize it, it's too late. So and I think we're in the same boat with cryptids. I think we're in the soft disclosure thing, because if you look at what's taking place, let's talk about the UFO phenomenon. I'm going to go over this real quick because I got a jet. But if we talk about the UFO thing, look over the past 70, 80 years. You can either go back to Roswell, or if you want to take it further back, go to Aurora, Texas. Okay. Now,
Texas is huge with UFO stuff.
Yeah. So
state.
Now look how the media and everybody has treated the UFO phenomenon over the years. Okay. What happened? It got with the movies and the cartoons and the kids' toys and the kids' movies and everything else.
Somebody said that on here.
E.T.
Yeah.
It got us used to it. When what was a couple of years ago, the government came off the Tic Tac video and said, okay, yeah, they're out there. Okay. I fully expected to just see this circle and just blow up. Oh my gosh, we were right, blah, blah, blah. Not a peep. not a peep.
No, but you know,
It was like,
that's
yeah,
it. It's
we knew. Yeah.
I think people that have witnessed these things, okay,
Right.
I think all of us will agree on this. People that have had like encounters with these things or seen it up live and personal, like I did on that cruise ship. Once you see that, it doesn't matter what anybody else says.
No.
Because you know what you saw. You know what you saw. And to have somebody sit there and tell you you didn't see it is not only insulting, it's ridiculous.
Exactly. You know,
So,
but if you look at the phases that we went through when Roswell happened and everything, the alien movies or the attackers from Mars, that type of thing, they were always bad and evil and all this kind of stuff, trying to take over the world. We were fighting them, right? Look at the progression of things. Okay. Now they're friendly, they're cuddly. Look at the E.T. movie, you know, and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And when it came out, when they came off of this, okay, yeah, we admit they're out there. What was everybody's reaction? It wasn't like, oh my God, it was, we knew.
Mm-hmm.
We're jaded, is what we are.
But if you look at it,
now, it's like, what else can happen?
But if you look at it, put the same timeline, put that progression of things against the timeline with the UFOs, against the same timeline with the cryptids. What are we seeing?
Yeah.
What are we seeing? The first movies and stuff that came out were this thing might exist and blah blah blah, but it's in search of and everything.
Right.
And then we start seeing the big monster movies come out, right? Of these things. They're always bad. They're always killing people. Now what do we see? Harry and Henderson, son of Bigfoot. You know, Yeti the Betty slot machines. I mean, come on.
Right.
You know, so we're seeing the same thing. And I call it soft disclosure.
No, and somebody else in our comments said the very same thing. And that's what they said on the show that I do the other night. Yeah. Somebody else mentioned that. And it does make sense. I just wish that it would just get done already.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We just need to face it. We're the frog in the pot of water that's gradually heating up. That's what we are.
Yeah, but I feel like, okay, I'm done boiled, man. Let's go.
Done boiled. I've already seen it. I'm through it. Let's go.
Yeah.
Having people out of the woods when they don't want to go, just show up.
Yeah. See, hey, I'm with you.
Irritates me is if they're good or if they're bad. Okay.
Right.
You've been around a long time, studying us a long time. You need to either do it or get off the pot.
That's what I was just going to say. Poop or get off the pot.
That's exactly how I feel about it. And maybe there's another reason, and I'm sure there is, that I don't know as to the why it's not happening in that respect. But I like to believe that there's something that is good that they are offering. I don't want to think that I think if they were going to hurt us, they would have done that already. I really do.
I mean, or we're just a human version of them pulling. I mean, they're the alien version of us pulling the wings off the flies, watching to see what happens.
Now guess what I'm going to dream about tonight.
Thanks, Ted.
And on that note,
good luck getting that out of your brain.
And I got to go to work. We'll see y'all later. Dana, it was a pleasure.
Bye. Nice
and I'd love to have you on the porch sometime. So,
sure.
Brandy, hook it up.
I'll get it set up. All right. Good night, Tex. See you later.
Good, Tex.
Well, see, my thing is I'm trying to figure out, because everybody's like, why are they abducting people? Why are they taking them? Why are they performing experiments and things like that? And I don't know. I mean, there's theories, but my own theory. My theory is maybe they're giving each abductee or whomever a little puzzle piece. Like, here's your tidbit of information. Can you figure it out? Here's your piece. You guys are going to have to put it together to figure it out. Kind of like you and your son see the same thing, but he's seen it differently than you did. He got a different puzzle piece than you did.
And that happened at that place with my solstice sister. It was the same thing. We both saw the same thing, but at different times. And we even had a doppelganger experience that night. That was super crazy, including this other part. There was a lot of stuff in a sort, then you're thinking, okay, for instance, with what I do as a psychic medium, part of what I'm known for, it sounded like I'm blowing my own horn. I'm not, but part of what I do and that I'm known for is my health stuff. Like I look at people and I can see energy patterns on them, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Right.
I think that's not coming from my normal channels. That's always felt different. And I'm wondering if that's not my puzzle piece. There's something about me. Why am I able to see that? Now, I'm not a doctor. I can't tell them what they have. I know when a heart attack's coming just because I've been doing this since 500 years ago. But I know certain things, what they look like. So I'll be very cautionary with people. But I'm not like a person that went to med school. I was a front desk receptionist at a doctor's office. But that doesn't qualify me to be like, you have this going on. But somehow I nail it. And that doesn't make sense to me. And I don't feel it's coming from the same channels as my mediumship does or my other psychic stuff does.
Right. Well, because I've sat in on your galleries and I know how you do them when you're in there. You don't say, well, you have heart disease.
No.
You don't say that.
I don't know.
No, that's not what you're doing. You're like, you might want to get that checked out. I'm feeling something, in here. And, you're saying, hey, I feel the problem. You might want to look at that.
Get it done or
get it checked out. Yeah. Right. I mean, it's not like you're giving a medical diagnosis. And I just wanted to make that clear to everybody out there.
Yeah. And I make it clear before every reading I do, because I certainly don't want to be sued by somebody if I do get something on them. But I feel it's part of my responsibility to tell people what I see. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm never going to say I can diagnose you.
No, you're just going to say, hey, you know what?
Save people from dying of heart attacks.
Right.
Which is pretty rewarding.
Right. But how do you go? I mean, it's just kind of, how do you go from that to aliens? It's like.
Because I had a history with aliens.
Yeah. And it's
childhood. I just didn't know it. Because see, it started with my dad.
Yeah.
My dad was in the Marines. My dad didn't believe in any of this. He didn't believe in ghosts, or he didn't believe in stuff going on. It was always my mom. But he would tell this story, and he only told it to me maybe 2 or 3 times because he knew how into this. I was into all of it at that point. Just curiosity. It was my thing. I was a weird kid. But he told me he was a Marine. He was in the Mediterranean Sea. He was on a ship, and they had a cigar-shaped craft over their ship for quite a while, like 30 minutes. It followed them right over the top of the ship. And he was, of course, probably terrified knowing my dad. Like, what's that? He was a good Catholic man.
Right.
So he buried that. He didn't talk about it a whole lot. But I'll tell you this. When I was growing up, he had his nose in a book all the time. My dad was a line worker for the electric company. He wasn't a college-educated guy. He was smart, just smart in a different way.
Right.
But he had a copy of Project Blue Book. Always he had that. He had anything that Carl Sagan wrote. He was always watching things, like if my show would have something on you, if he would watch it. That was the one area that he said, yes, they are out there because I saw one. And my mom just told me literally last week that he saw one over the lake where we live here in town. There's a lake. He saw one over the lake and came home and told her about it. Now, the school of thought is with the people I'm dealing with the UFO contact people, is that it goes in families. So they will start with you as, like, let's say it started with my dad, or maybe it started with his mom, but it will track people through generations. And I think my dad, and I'll never know because he's since passed, but I think my dad probably had more of experience than he even told me. Maybe not on the ship, but somewhere, because this just wasn't his thing. And this is one thing that he stood pretty firm on. And for my dad to do that back in the 70s and 80s, he had something going on. And then, of course, I had things going on. And he was like, that's not going on, maybe because he was afraid of the other part of it. But I think it travels in families. And I think a lot of us just don't know it. I think as children, we probably remember things, and then our parents tell us no, kind of like ghosts. They don't want, you don't want your child afraid. You don't want them thinking that it's real. You didn't see it, right?
It sounded like he was trying to protect you from it. It's just kind of like, well, maybe if I don't acknowledge it or say it happened or blah, 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 that she won't
the guy
see that.
Reading Project Blue Book and watching the Manhattan Project. And
and that was actually going to be...
That was him bonding with you. You wonder, he was bonding with you.
Right.
I was actually just about to ask you if you think that it kind of marks the families and kind of travels down the generations and stuff.
I do. I don't know, if everybody thinks that. I know there's people that I work with, the Michigan people that I work with, and MUFON, they believe that.
I've talked to a few.
It could be, and this gets where it gets real, like down that rabbit hole, is that we are part DNA wise them.
Right.
So, and like I said, it gets real weird. You go down those rabbit holes. But the fact of it stands is, like, for me, I did my ancestry, or I did my DNA test. I have 6.5% unknown DNA. That's high.
Yeah.
I'm a lot from Scotland. I've got some Romania in there. And I've got 6.5% of unknown. Now, I can go deeper and have the unknown looked into, but that's besides the Rh factor in people's blood. You've probably all heard that theory. There's people that I don't have that. But why do I have 6.5% unknown DNA? There's probably some scientists out there going, that's because of this, and you did it like this, and that could be true. But there's a lot of people, and I'm not saying I'm an alien, but I'm not saying I'm not, because I don't know.
Well,
I know I'm human for the most part, but
would you want to go through and find out or run the test or whatever to see what that missing percentage is?
I do I do. And I think I just got like an offer through I did something called Genome Link, as though I did Ancestry a long time ago. This is through something called Genome Link, which takes you all the way back to like Neanderthal.
Okay.
So it goes pretty far back, and it still came up 6.5% unknown. Like, people are like, oh, I'm really high. I have like 0.81% unknown. And I'm going,
hold my beer.
Yeah, hold my tea. I've got something to show you.
I'm a little higher than that.
Okay, what about your son? Now that he's seen it.
My son has his own stuff. So, like, he's got a mark on his arm that's in a triangle, and it's white. The rest of his arm is your basic arm color with some freckles. And he has a triangle in white. Now, I've had people look at it at UFO Contact. I went there as a vendor the last 2 years, so this is my first year there as a speaker. But I had my UFO friends look at it, and they were like, that's kind of weird. And they were feeling it. And he's had things happen. He has seen things around, like he used to go driving at night listening to music because there's nothing to do here where I live. And he'd be like, yep, saw one up there tonight again. And this, my kid he's not telling the world this. Apparently I am.
No.
But
No.
he's not out trumpeting this information to people just randomly to get attention.
Right.
So I believe him. I had a classmate from grade school into high school. I've known him my whole life. His wife contacted me same time, right around COVID. That's when this really started hitting the fan for me. They had one go over the top of their house that was silent as a tomb. The thing was humongous. And he didn't believe in any of this stuff. He told me about it. She still didn't believe him. She just saw the tail end of it. And of course, she doesn't believe in anything like this. But he saw it. He went out to get the dog, and the dog was like, what's this?
Dog's even going, that ain't
Dad,
right.
help.
That ain't right.
He's trying to get the dog back in the house. He was like, what the hell's going on with this dog? And he went out, and there was this immense silent fleet. There was a big one and I think two smaller ones. If I remember correctly, I might be wrong on that. I know there was more than one.
Uh-huh.
And then he saw him again on his way to work one day because he worked real late and real early. So it's either one or the other. And he's like, I can't say I don't believe in them because I've had him go over my house. I saw him again. And this is all in where I live. And we have a lot of cryptid sightings here. We have he knows about a lot of cryptid sightings here. We have UFO sightings here. We have an elevated haunting stuff that goes on here. We are on ley lines. I don't know if you're familiar with ley lines.
Absolutely.
And we are like Whitewater and my town are dead center on these. We're right in this lineup of stuff, and we have stuff all over. And we're surrounded by the southern unit of the Kettle Moraine Forest, which was where the glaciers went through here. So the Kettles are like really deep, and then they come up. The moraines are like a hill, and they're very high hills. And there's a lot of weird stuff that goes on.
Yes, there is.
So that's where I moved the summer before first grade. So I've been surrounded by this stuff since I was a tiny kid, So it's bound to happen. But yeah, there's a ton, obviously you don't have time for all of them. There's just a lot of stuff that's happened. I pretty much talked about most of them, but it did start with my dad. It started off with him
with your son
telling that story. And so I think it does track families. I fully 100% believe in the people I work with through the UFO con. They're all with MUFON. These are not like people that came off the street and like, I saw a UFO when I came out of the bar. I mean, these are like people that have studied and researched and know all of these things, and they're fascinating. And then there's me. I have a weird guy at my track, and I saw one on a cruise ship.
Right. It's just like.
Now, have you, outside of the guy from the track, have you seen any creatures?
Yes, I did. In Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you where I was because I don't want to wreck their place, but I was at a place, very nice house. And we had the doppelganger thing happen, which was crazy. And I was sitting, they had a parlor and then like a dining area, really kind of large. I was sitting in the parlor and I was looking toward the dining area, and it had a bay window in it. And see, I still have to stop and think on this, is how weird it is that I cannot connect the dots with this to tell the story. But I just felt weird, and Christina, my solstice sister, was with me, and she's mostly blind. Okay, so she can only see out of, like, if you're looking out of a straw, she can see like that little circle. That's all she can see. So she's got to like direct her face to like look. He was staring in to this dining room, And I remember my head, I'm going, I'm not going to look. I'm not going to look. I'm not going to look. I'm not looking. And I kept thinking that because I knew I'd already seen something. What I saw was a very tall, because I think where the window, I saw the head of it. So where the window would have reached would have been between 6 and 8 feet. So the head was sticking up above that. Okay. Had white skin. I can't say I thought it was gray. It wasn't a little gray, which I know from artist renderings what those are.
Mm-hmm.
This was taller. It was white. It had the weird eyes, and I didn't see much for facial features. But it was watching us through this window, and I knew it wasn't by itself. And that's why my head was trying to like shut it off. I don't see it. I'm not seeing this. This is a haunted place to begin with.
Yeah.
We did find out from the owner later on that she had similar experiences, not at that house, but at the house she actually resided in, which was different than the house that we were in.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, but this thing was tall, and you know, I couldn't sleep. I had to sleep with one of my solstice sisters. I didn't want to. That's what I mean. Ghosts, I'm fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
This was not that.
Mm-hmm.
So that I did see, yes.
Freaky. Yeah.
Other than that, I think that's like the only time I really saw one that I recall that I'm allowed to remember, maybe. I don't know.
Could be.
Well, you know, just going back to the DNA thing, the obvious person that you would probably ever want to have had tested would be your dad. I mean, that's the obvious one to see what he had. But I don't know. You might want to get your mom checked. You might want to.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing is just very bizarre to me that, for one thing, we never even had DNA testing back in the day when my dad was still alive. They didn't even have this yet. He died, 20 some years ago. Mm-hmm. So when I got that back, I thought, oh, I must have like some really weird, like maybe it's an old tribe from Czechoslovakia or Romania or something that, or, I don't know, but they kept updating it. So I'd get updates for like, all of a sudden I was 65% Scotland, where my family lore is that I'm Irish. I'm like, well, somebody cheated.
Right.
We had a Scotsman killed his way into the family somewhere, and it came through pretty strong because I only have a small percent of Irish and a large percent of Scotland. And then all these little bits, right? And at the very bottom, 6 point, and I read it like 3 times, and I'm going, oh, whatever. And then I was talking to somebody, and they were like, well, I have this weird unknown DNA, and it's like, and it was like 0.1, I think, percent.
Mm-hmm. And
I'm like, what? I go, that's not very much. They're like, well, actually, it is kind of a big deal if you don't know what it is. I said, mine's 6.5%. And they were like,
take a step back.
Yeah.
My goodness.
So I don't know if I should like redo the whole thing and just like do it like a brand new one. I don't know, but I can tell you, oop, my light just fell down. No.
There's the cat.
It wasn't though, because he's sitting right next to me.
Huh.
Stay, please, just for a few more minutes. There's a reason why I'm still walking this earth, because I really shouldn't be. I almost died 7 years ago, and there's absolutely no reason I should be talking to you right now. The doctors have no idea why. I had renal failure. I had 20% renal function when I rolled into the ER, and I didn't come out for basically, well, I came out, but I was back and forth through the hospital for 2 years. I did not have a good prognosis. I was on and off transplant twice during that time. And all of a sudden, it started to improve. And they have me in studies, and there's doctors that are like, why? This is not even possible that you've improved. This doesn't make any sense with what you had going on. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that tomorrow I couldn't fall right back into it. But I would say out of the 7 years, about 4 of it, I've been out of that danger zone, and I do not qualify for a transplant.
Maybe it's that 6.5%
I was
Maybe.
just thinking
unknown
that.
DNA.
And maybe that was given to me somehow at that point, because I had that the DNA test I took was after that all went down. I mean, it's a theory. I'm not saying I believe that happened, but something very definitely happened. And I'm not the only person in that believe in this, that put it this way, the abductees that I know, okay?
Mhm.
We've had brain tumors that have disappeared. These are people I know are not making up stories. I know these people. Brain tumors that they thought were cancerous, gone, never came back. All kinds of stories, diseases that have been magically reversed, cured, whatever. So I fall into that. I fall into that group because I really shouldn't be here. And, don't think I don't thank the Lord every day, or maybe the aliens or whoever we pray to these days. But I think that could be part of it. So if they are doing things and they're able to help us with our diseases, some of them are man-made.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to let them. So that's what I mean. Just tell me what you're doing. If you're doing something good for somebody, then take them. They'll get over it.
Right. It's just like it'll be fine. Just
why does it have to
not
be
like
so
it?
overt? Why does it have to be coming into your room at night and taking you through the roof and depositing
You don't
you
have
in the
to
wood?
emotionally
Travis
scar
Walton
me.
ended up naked in some random road somewhere after being gone like a week or something.
Exactly.
why
You don't
are you
have
doing
to emotionally scar me. You just
Yeah.
don't. Just tell me,
Just
hey,
tell
we're
me.
gonna fix you.
And
Okay.
they can talk to us telepathically, if not any other way. Just show me, hey, this is what I'm doing. I know I look funny to you, but I'm really trying to help you. If you need me to, I can calm you down. Like, give me the option. Don't assume that you need to mind control me. And I think because I have a control issue, that's probably more of an issue for me than it is maybe for some other people. That's why they use that. Or they don't want you to remember, because our government has maybe made a little deal saying, look, we can't have you guys coming in here. Apparently, this is what I heard. There was a little deal made after, like back in the 80s, with the Greys, that they're not to abduct people anymore because it was getting too far out of control with people reporting it. And if you look at the little stats, you will see it.
There was a decline. Yeah, there was.
Yeah. Because people were starting to be like wising up, like with regression work and, the hypnotism and things like that. And I don't think all of them are good, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you I think they're all bad either. I think that there are different types out there, and they're doing different things for different reasons. And I think there are particular ones that are probably more human friendly, that are trying to help. But that doesn't mean there isn't some that aren't. And so I want to know what that is. And I think that's our government maybe knows that. As I get abducted by men in black later.
That's right. Everybody should talk about it. She's on the list. She's on the list.
In about 20 minutes, you're going to knock on your door. Excuse me, ma'am.
My mom.
Maybe like Jada. It's time to go. You already know.
In a suit.
It's just.
Let him in.
I could just see him going, come on, Dana. You already know.
Yeah.
Somebody wrote on here in the comment, Ron Forrest wrote women in black. And all I could think of is that old Robert Palmer video
Oh yeah.
where they're dressed and they're playing the guitars.
Is that like Simply Irresistible or
yeah, or one of those?
so?
Yeah, yes, it is
something.
that one. That's the one.
Yeah.
That's what
Okay. I
that's
had to
what
think about it.
With the red
I mean, I
lipstick
can
and
see him
everything.
singing it, and I can see the
Yeah.
girls.
I'd rather be one of those girls than get taken by one of those girls. So.
Right, there you go.
It pretty much
But they
depends
did
on the
look a little
person.
strange. They did look a little strange.
Well, my friend Lee said, Lee is from my town that's in the feed here. She said she'll take care of my mom for me if they take me. Thank you, Lee.
Make sure you leave addresses and phone numbers so she can keep in touch with us and tell us what happened.
Yes.
I'd be worried. I'd be like, oh gosh, what now?
I'll show up. I'm just gonna ask, look, if you're gonna Travis Walton me, if you're gonna like drop me off naked somewhere, please make it private because nobody needs to be witnessing that at this age. At least leave me with a robe or something.
I can just see her. She shows up somewhere, she's naked, and then she's gonna be out there. You're not gonna believe this.
You'll never believe what just
You're
happened.
never gonna believe what happened. But I'm gonna tell you.
6.5% you can believe this.
Yes. That's right. That's
6.5% of you are gonna believe this.
But I will tell you, and Brandy, I will invite you over and over again. At some point, you really should come to this area because I am telling you, if I took you out in those, and I'm not even talking about the cryptid thing, that's a whole nother show.
Mhm.
But there is something very different here. And I don't know if it's, I don't know what it is. But
yeah,
I
did. Well, we had plans on coming. We really did have plans on coming. Well, and then with my mother, and so everything that I had got squashed. But yeah, I've got to. I have to. It is on my to-do list. I just got to figure out where I'm going to put that in. You know what I mean?
And it's really, really pretty. So it's not like you're being but if you were to stay, there's like a place to stay called Ottawa Lake. It's a campground. Okay. I'm not a big camper myself, but I would do it for you. It's not that far from my house. They're even out there. That's right in the middle of all of this.
I'm not opposed to glamour camping.
I'll glamp. I will glamp. I used to sleep on a cot in a tent and be very happy with that. Not anymore because I won't be able to get out of said cot. You'll need a Hoyer lift to get me out of there in the morning, especially if it's damp out. But maybe you should think about it maybe next summer if we can swing it. Who knows? Yeah. But definitely is a place that you would, I just know you would feel it.
Yeah.
From what you've done. And you too, Paranormal Paul, are more than welcome to come along for the joyride.
Awesome. And
but it'll be a blast. It'll be a blast. But and I mean, just for the laughs itself, it would still be, it would still be worth it.
I'm serious at events. I never laugh. You know me better than that.
I'm like, she's fibbing right now.
You're serious 6.5% of the time.
I think yes, exactly. I think it's an important thing to have a sense of humor about this because it is very scary. This stuff is scary. Whether or not, I mean, it's cool in certain ways, yes, but I really fully 100% believe that they are out there, and I really think we're going to see that in our lifetimes, and that should be scaring the crap out of people to some extent. At least respect it instead of laughing at people that believe in this stuff. You might want to read a little bit more into this stuff before you start scoffing too hard, because you guys are the ones that are going to feel it the worst if they do show up. Not that they're going to hurt you, but the fact that they exist at all is really going to hurt a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right.
And certainly not be slamming people for what they experience. I mean, we don't know. Only
none of us know. With any of it, like even like I even went, like I said, this sends me down all kinds of rabbit holes. This alien and cryptid, those type of things. So it's like there's certain things like with mediumship, for instance. I talk to people who have passed. I know I'm talking to people at that point. Sometimes I've run across it that they're not feeling like people. And it's not really like a mediumship vibe to it. It feels different. So it feels like there's maybe a communication coming in from somewhere else that I don't really like to think about that. And I'm the first to tell you right here, I'm not comfortable all the time. I'm not saying when I'm reading somebody, because I always say what I hear. I have to. That's my job. I never keep things from my clients because that's not my job. But if I'm sitting and like doing something and I start getting something, I want to shut it off sometimes because it's not familiar to me. The psychic and mediumship stuff is like a blanket to me. I'm used to that. This other stuff is a different thing. And I think that there's probably something coming within maybe the next 10 years, if not less than that, that is going to cause a huge change in how we look at things. And it's scary. It's scary regardless. But I think if they were going to hurt us, they would have done it a long time ago. I mean, we're not exactly, what do I always say? It's like, we're kind of like the planet that has that all the prisoners got sent to. Because we're
like Alcatraz.
We're awful to each other. We're absolutely horrendous to each other. There's constantly something horrible happening. You know, why do they want us?
That's why I always kind of question when people say that we're the only intelligent life form in the universe. Really? No.
If we're the most intelligent thing in this universe, the universe
we're
is
in trouble.
Yeah, there's other things, you know, and just because we haven't all seen them yet, that doesn't mean they're not there.
But some of us have seen them, and people have had experiences with stuff.
Right.
You know,
that's right.
Bigfoot and things they didn't see, but they felt, or they smelled it, or they.
Right.
It's
we're the crazy people right now, Dana. We're the crazy people right now.
I've always been the crazy person. So for me, I'm like, whatever. Now I'm just crazy in another way that people don't maybe know about. But I would never, ever. And I think that came from my father and also my mom. My whole growing up, I was told that if you think that we are the only thing in the universe that thinks and that we're the only ones out there, then you're arrogant because there's no way that's true. And they're right.
Right. You're absolutely right. Just because we haven't traveled there yet, or we haven't got to that point. But I think you're right, David. There is something coming. And, you know.
And this is like it's disclosure time. This is when people are going to start coming out and saying, hey, it happened to me. Hey, it happened to me. And that's, like I said, I'm not pushing my show, but I am kind of, because that's what we talk about the whole time. This is people that the regressions we listen to, these are normal Joes off the street. These aren't like people that necessarily believed in this stuff before they had a regression and figured out why they have certain quirks about stuff. You know, all of these people, doctors, lawyers, teachers, you know, professors. It's not just like, you know, somebody that lives out in the middle of the woods and smokes too much pot. This is like all over the globe. People are having this happen.
Yeah, you know, because I have run across people who just don't give you a people vibe.
Yes, and that's what I mean. Are they, and you know, this is where I lose a lot of people, like my friends, if I talk about this, but there's the hybrids. You could be part, maybe even more than 6.5%, Paul. Maybe you're half and half.
Maybe you're half and half, Paul.
Could be.
Right.
Could be.
So, you know,
that would explain a lot.
It explains a lot about a lot of things, though, too. So, like, if there is an elevated mind control or elevated ability to use the mind as communication, is that where I get my psychic mediumship from?
Right.
I don't know.
Me either. But man, you can jump down all kinds of like theories and all kinds of things. But at the end of the day, we're going to find out. So it's whether or not people want it or want to believe in it. And I'm sorry, it freaks people out. It freaks me out too. But ignoring it is not going to make it go away. And picking on people that actually are talking about it or mocking people or being jerks about it is only stopping your own evolution of figuring out that the world may not be what you think it is.
It doesn't fit into their cookie cutter style.
I hate cookie cutters.
Yeah.
Well, and I think we're getting a great taste of it. I mean, not by anything cryptid or alien or anything, but COVID changed the way everybody lives today. And it wasn't that long ago. So we're getting a big taste of having your world turned upside down. Now, let's add in something that you can't comprehend in your brain and let that turn you upside down, and let's see what happens.
And it's kind of like, I think everybody's jaded. So we go from like, all this arguing about politics, and then we have COVID come into play, and then we've got like this war cropping up, and we're getting involved in that war over here, and all these poor people are dying in the meantime, and nobody's thinking about that because they're too PO'd about politics. Boy, we look really bad to like another outlying place, right? That might be like we should be coming all together. And I'm thinking, in some respects, this is one way for that to happen. And that sounds very like Miss Mary Sunshine and predicting all these sunny things. But if we are all facing, I don't want to call them an opponent because I don't feel like they're necessarily coming to get us or anything. But I feel like this disclosure, them coming finally and saying, hey, we're here, might actually globally make people step back a little bit, because suddenly a lot of those things that they thought were important are not anymore.
Right.
And we are getting to a tipping point worldwide again.
Yes.
With wars and violence, and you're looking at it every day, where it could take something astronomical, if you will, like them coming in to get everybody to shut up and like step back and go, oh boy, we aren't the biggest fish in the pond here. There's something else going on here. I've already seen people saying that when they do introduce this, when the government comes in and, hey, we have this UFO coming in or whatever they do.
Right.
People are like, oh, it's going to be all AI. They're going to fake the whole thing. They're going to have things set up where you're going to go and meet some alien that's really not. It's like a hologram. And come on, what happened to him?
Right. I think this happened to him before we came on. I think StreamYard just booted him. We've been having this thing.
He got lifted into the ethers. He just got abducted.
I know. He'll be back in just a second. But I mean, he's just gone. And I'm like, what's happening? Usually it's me, and I have all the issues because, I'm just an issue. I'm just going to say I'm the issue. But no, StreamYard's kicked him off twice. So we're going to wait, in just a second and see if he comes back on. I don't know what's happening.
I have a show. Yes, I can tell you. Well, it's not my show. I have a show I'm on with others. He just asked it. He's like, what just happened? You were abducted. You're now inside a ship. You just don't know it yet, Paul.
Okay, so just get back on, Paul.
So here we go. I'll give my show info so people.
Yes.
It's every Friday night at 8 Central.
I should have put a different wig on.
Right. Sure that's what it was. The name of the show is Voices of Contact. It's Friday nights at 8 Central Standard Time. What we do is we have a hypnotherapist who's also an abductee. So she's an experiencer, is what we call themselves. She regresses people and tapes it with their permission, and then we don't know who these people are, but we get to listen to what they're saying, and then we discuss it. So everybody on that panel, except for me, that we know of yet, because they have not regressed me, and I don't know if I want to do it or not. Right. But everybody on the panel there is an experience, like has memory all the way back to childhood, and has experienced things that I don't want a regression, but I think I should probably get one done. But anyway, so that's on Friday nights. It's hard to start when you start listening to it. It's going to be hard for people to listen to it if you're not really super understanding all of how it works. But hang in there, because once you do kind of pick up how this is going and what's being said, you will find that regressions to follow, like on the next show, you're going to hear some very similar reports, and from two people that do not know each other, like how they get it. It's pretty interesting. And then there's also a conference coming up in Houghton Lake, Michigan, called UFO Contact. It's at the Lakeside Resort in Houghton Lake, Michigan, which is really pretty there. And they have reports of UFOs coming in and out of the lake.
That's awesome.
Like
I would assume that they would have all kinds of reports because of the Great Lakes.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I'm near one of those too, Michigan. Right. Yeah, I've got Lake Michigan by me. But there are tickets available to that one. It's September 20th and 21st. And you can go to miufocon.com if you'd like to look at the tickets. They're not like $9 million a day. I think it's maybe, I don't even know how much, but it's not that much money. If you are in the Michigan area and interested in UFOs, that's the place to go.
I think Paul's looking it up right now, aren't you, Paul?
I am. What was
good, because I'm terrible at giving it. It's miufocon.com.
Con.com.
Con.com. I think it's funny we all call it cons. They should be just conventions, because it sounds like we're conning people.
It does. It does. It's con.
Paracon. It's like,
let me con you out of something.
Yeah, exactly. It has that connotation.
Yeah, I put the link in chat.
Awesome. And it's a good time. We have a lot of fun there. It's a really cool resort. It's very small. They did have, and this was witnessed by several people. Again, I'm not making this up. I was not there the year this happened. They had Men in Black show up.
Really?
Uh-oh.
They did. And some people saw them in the speaking room. Some people didn't see them. People saw them out in the parking lot. Other people didn't see them out in the parking lot, and then they disappeared. So I was like, are you sure it wasn't like people messing around dressed up as Men in Black for a UFO con? They're like, well, we'd think that, but not every people that should have seen them didn't see them. They were standing right by them. They didn't see them. People in the back of the room saw them.
Right.
And they were your definition of Men in Black. And I had like a weird thing happen in the elevator there. There's always something that goes on there. That's seen people show up before they've shown up. Like the whole doppelganger thing with this stuff ties in for me, and I don't know what that's all about. It's happened to me a couple of times. So
that sounds like a whole nother show.
So get your tickets now.
Like, I talk a lot, so you guys probably should have chopped me off an hour ago, but
I'm just writing stuff for next shows. I'm just writing down, okay, well, we can talk about this and this and this. And
I was, like I said, I'm into this stuff because I've been into all of the things that I thought were cool when I was a kid, or there's a reason why I was drawn to it. And part of it is my dad actually believed in UFOs. And I'm living in an area where they're seen all the time.
Right.
So there's a lot of me that was just meant to be weird or mystical or into that stuff from early on. And, obviously being born the way I was.
Right.
That's the reason for that.
Well, it just makes you fabulous. That's all I've got to say about that.
Thank you.
And again, if your family's marked, then it's
just one of those things. But, that just brings us more questions that I need to ask on a different show.
Well, and I think no matter how many times we were here talking about it, you're going to walk away with more questions than answers.
Yeah.
Because there is just as we just don't have it yet.
We just don't have the answers. We have nothing.
We have theories and we have experiences that people have had, and you're getting their experience from their viewpoint. But it could have been something completely different, but they were feeling this when it happened. So it's mixed up.
It is you're right. It's mixed up, and I'm going to go with that. But it is time for us to go now.
Cool. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, I'm glad you came on. I appreciate you for coming on and being with us tonight. And like I said, we're going to do it again. It's just too much to talk about, too many things to talk about.
And I'm keeping on the line for that Southern Wisconsin something at some point. I want to do something here.
Yes, I need to do that. And the other thing is that maybe we can get you to come down here to Cape Girardeau, Missouri, because they have a UFO con down here now. You know, because they had that big crash that happened before Roswell and blah blah blah. Yes. You know, so now they're starting into it. So it might turn out to be something big. So it might be something fun for us to do.
And also in Piedmont, Missouri, I think there's Clearwater Lake down there. It's supposedly a UFO hotspot here. So
yes, they're trying to get Piedmont named the UFO capital of Missouri, and Piedmont is only like 30 miles from me. So
wow, okay. See how you end up living where weird stuff. It's like bizarro to me.
Well, yeah, because I'm in the Mark Twain National Forest. I'm right here. It's just like everything is right here.
Randy and I are forest dwellers.
we live.
I love the voice change. That was awesome.
You like that? I'm kind of like that alien dude up at the track. Don't worry, I'll turn back into Wisconsin Dana soon enough and get you a casserole or something.
Give you a casserole.
Hey.
Casserole.
Gotcha.
But we can see your face.
That's right. All right, everybody. Don't forget, Blondes and Booze will be back on tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central. Paranormal Paul will be on Saturday at 7 p.m. Central. So don't forget to stop by, like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. See you all tomorrow.
All right, everybody.
Bye, you guys.